really like how he was going to kick and then his hips are like,
Yeah.
woo.
Yeah.
I would be worried, and as a City fan, I am.
Would you rather fight one giraffe-sized Matt Simon or 100 rabbit-sized Matt Simon?
How do you like me now?
Hello and welcome A-League fans to another episode of the A-League Download presented by Isuzu Ute. A Ryan Fraser debut goal beats the Heat. A hat-trick hero up at Suncorp and Macarthur hit Melbourne City for 6. There's a lot to break out of the A-League weekends. I can't wait to bring this to you. I am your host, Jake Barker-Daish, and as always joined by Australian goal-scoring legend Archie Thompson and Danish goalkeeping legend Thomas Sorensen.
I thought you were going to say goal-scoring legend.
Did you ever score in your career?
Some own goals there.
Good weekend of football. You guys are up in Sydney. You watched a couple of great games.
Absolute goal fest. I think we were getting treated to some unbelievable goals.
Yeah, well, it made it very difficult for us this week to pick some bangers, but as long as this intro was, believe it or not, Lockie Bayliss at Newcastle scored a goal even quicker than we got to this point. Archie, this was an absolute belter, 22 seconds into the game for the young man at Newcastle.
Yeah, well, I mean, what can we say about Newcastle? I mean, they're branded the box office Jets, aren't they? And they came out of the gates flying in this Bayliss. That's up 21 seconds, I think, that goal. And he had to fight to get that opportunity to strike, and there's not too much that goalkeeper can do about that. And you can see now the fans that are starting to believe, the players are already starting to believe in what Mark Milligan's doing there, but the fans are, because they're starting to get some really good crowds.
Thomas, you loved his little play before he got that shot off as well.
Yeah, no, I actually touched on it. I think that intent that they started with and he started with, he actually fought for the ball, fought a couple of players off, and then, an incredible finish. And it's great to see the stadium up there rocking again. We look back at it, that scorpion kick and the good old days that they seem like now, but, they're bringing them back.
Yeah, well, the box office Jets, we can't let them go on this show. We'll be talking about them very shortly. We talk about Luke Bratton being one of the best technical players in the league, and Thomas, this is well and truly why. What an unbelievable goal that put them up 2-0 against Melbourne City. Yeah,
for sure. He hurt his old club by an absolute banger. That's... he doesn't score many goals, but this set up nicely, and he's definitely got the technique to do this. This is not a coincidence. We're just going to hope that the hyperextension he had of his knee is going to, that he's going to be back pretty quickly, and the scans are good, because he's an important part for Macarthur, and you can see here that he. He has that leadership quality and obviously a goal-scoring quality as well.
Yeah, very much so. Another man who has a goal-scoring quality up at Macarthur is Harrison Sawyer. And we've been enjoying his goals and his on-field play, but maybe his celebrations just a little bit more than the man to my left, Archie Thompson, as well. We're going to be comparing here. But Archie, just talk us through this, because you're the man in the corner flag.
Yeah.
What are we expecting from Harrison Sawyer at the moment? We don't know what's coming.
Yeah, well, look, I love the hip movement. There is definitely some good hip movement.
But we have to compare it to you here.
Yeah, well, if I compare myself of that hip movement at my age and his age, I reckon I swing it a bit better than he does.
But I do have a question, Archie, about this one, because you did try and take your top off, but you were...
How tight was that shirt? Like, you should get it off.
You were renowned for actually doing a bit of the kung fu in the corner flag, which you and Timmy Cahill were known for. It took some stardom, and then one day you just turned up and started, manoeuvring the body around the corner flag, to put it polite.
Yeah, man, it just evolved. Like, I remember when it started back in the old NSL, Claudio Canoso, an old teammate of mine, said, Archie, when you score a goal, celebrate, because people remember it. And now, every time that Sawyer scores a goal, we're all kind of going, we don't even really care too much about how he scored his goal. It's about his celebration. But I really liked how he was going to kick, and then his hips are like, woo.
Yeah, right after
get up now,
right after his war of words with Samuel Sulprain. We're going to have a seatbelt for Archie in his chair there. But look, Harry, we love what you're doing out there at Macarthur, and we appreciate the celebrations, but you've still got a bit of work to do to catch up to Archie Thompson, that's for sure, mate. A game of the round, really, when we look at some of the moments that happened, one that stood out to us was a young man by the name of Brody Burkett, a 19-year-old in his second game for the club. Came on at half-time as well. Before we have a look at the goals, just quickly, a 19-year-old Thomas coming on and making that impact. Pretty profound what Adelaide can do with some of these young players that we haven't really heard much about, and then look what happens. Yeah,
no, a massive surprise. He's come through that South Australian pathway. He scored some goals for, the NPL side, and everything that comes out from there. This is a great finish, the first one, good touch out of his feet. is that he's a hard worker. He's got the right attitudes. He's willing, to take on. He's a sponge, take on advice, and now he's been given a chance. And he obviously wants us to remember his name by taking the shirt off. At least he has the right size of shirt, Archie.
You could take it off, but you could see straight away the players that were missing for them in the Asia Cup, how important they are to him, because De Cooley gets a ball over the defence and his electric pace and the composure to pick out the players. But Jovanovic came off the bench too, but I don't think he touched the ball. But if you got someone like Brody to score 3 goals like he did, I mean, what an amazing...
And Archie, you were one that was very active in the box with your movement when you saw the ball was going to be in your area. I mean, his movement for some of the goals, we know he's a little guy with the header, but the first goal in particular, we caught Valkanis, that's a real sign of a player. Yeah,
incredible. I mean, like that one where the first one where he's touched it with his right to keep it dead so he can hit it with his left was amazing. That's such an art. But the second one was De Cooley making that run. You could see he's timed his run perfectly. And sometimes when you're a young player or you haven't played too much football, you're thinking, I've just got to hit this as hard as possible. But you could see how composed he was. He almost used the pace of the cross to be able to guide it in. And it was just a cool, calm finish. I really enjoyed that.
And one thing that I love, between every goal, there was always a shot at him halfway when they were kicking off. And he was taking in deep breath, and you could just see he was pumped, like the energy was flowing. Yeah. And also, I think he was savouring the moment. I love that. He's obviously worked hard for this moment, and you've got to enjoy it. And I love the celebration as well. Good on him.
Yeah, a very big win for Adelaide. Brisbane, to be fair, probably had some chances to take over the game, but we talked about Adelaide's away form. They've started to get a couple win on the road, and they're only 3 points behind the top now, which is impressive given where we thought they might be a few weeks ago. Just a quick conundrum that they're going to have. You've got Anselmo, Jovanovic, Ajak Riak, and now you've got Brody Burkett.
Wow.
A bit of a choice conundrum for Ayrton Andrioli.
Yeah, and it's a good one. I mean, I think Jovanovic was... I guess, shouldering a lot of the responsibility early on before they brought Anselmo and Riak in. But I think with the likes of De Cooley with that pace and directness, and I think being in that Asia Cup would have gave him a bit more confidence. But then, Brody, I think when he came off the bench against Melbourne Victory, he sparked something. So they've got a really good flow in that front line. Maybe just need to tighten up the back a little bit, because we saw in that game defensively they were dropping it off, but maybe because you lose Rins.
And they play with 2 young players.
Yeah, so it's hard to...
but I love that the front 4, I think they all offer something different.
It's very true.
There's physicality, there's being the small player. I think Anselmo can hold up the ball, maybe not as quick as he was in the past, but so I think... there's definitely, Andrioli's got some options there, for people coming off the bench or starting, and, so it's a good option, like good things to have.
It's probably the best individual performance from a 45-minute point of view, but of the season, I mean, it's in contention. We think of some of the names who've had some hat-tricks, of Tom Lawrence and Alassane Toure. Juan Mata's had a period. I mean, that's right up there for I guess, some of the best performances we've seen so far?
I definitely think so. I think the quality and also the surprise, because he came on and within half an hour he'd scored 3 goals, and we were sort of searching, who is this guy? It's a great story, but we dissected the goals. I think there was so much quality in there that he deserves definitely to be in that conversation.
Yeah, well, we spoke about Luke Bratton's goal before, and Macarthur, haven't they come to life? The signing of Mitch Duke, adding some spice to their team, but very much a clinical performance in a 6-2 drubbing of Melbourne City. Archie, we're going to talk to you just about Macarthur. I mean, we spoke about them as a team that contend. They've got a really strong team. The addition of Mitch Duke, you've got Sawyer, who's real quality, the experience in their team. I mean, are they someone that really we've got to be looking at here as a chance to go all the way? Yeah,
because I feel like with Macarthur, they've given like little bits of performances where you go, okay, if they can just put the little bits together for 90 minutes, they're going to be clinical and they're going to be a hard team to beat. The game against Central Coast the week before they played City, I thought, okay, they're keeping possession, they're not allowing Central Coast to play, they're creating enough opportunities. The football is great, and they'll be disappointed to go away with just only the draw. This time, they came with the same energy. they really didn't let City, there's something going on there, but they didn't let them play and they took their chances when needed. I feel like they've got a really good balance all over the park now. It's about backing it up. Though.
Very much so. Yeah. And Thomas, we speak about backing up, but they backed up with after the first goal with another 5. If we have a look at the goals here from Macarthur, if you want to take us through some of these, in particular, I know Mitch Duke just very ready at the get-go to start them off.
They started on the front foot. They obviously deliberately put a high press in, tried to catch Melbourne City out, and they did. There was a lot of talk about Anthony Caceres in that duel with Ryan Teague, and I think he came out on top. And then Vickery, he's been a bunch of energy on the side. Bosniak, so they, even the players that came off the bench made a massive difference. Harris and Sawyer here, so. I think that energy and belief they have now, I think it's a massive thing in this league. Having momentum. So, you know what? I think they're definitely they're definitely ascending for sure.
Yeah, you've mentioned Luke Vickery, but the contributors as well from some of the players that necessarily aren't maybe the big stars in that team.
Yeah,
Walter
Scott
really,
as well. On
Walter
that left.
Scott was fantastic. Talbot was really good as well. Archie, we spoke about Mitch Duke and we had a laugh that you picked him as your Golden Boot winner potential, which might not be the craziest shout in the end. We might look back and you might be a genius, but just putting the World Cup hat on for a second, is he someone that you're seeing he's got to go to the World Cup, or do you think Popper's looking at him, it's around his form to the back end of the season here?
I think, well, it's got to be form. I think, but when I look at the stocks for the attack, it's probably a little bit thin compared to what you have from the middle to the back to goalkeepers. So I feel like it's up for anyone, but Dukey's been in that position for a long time with the Socceroos. He understands what it takes at that level. If he continues to play like he's going to be playing once he gets match fitness and scoring goals, you'd have to put him on the plane because I did give a shout that he might be top goal scorer. Well, he's got one. How do you like me now?
Yeah. He's looking good as well. His movement, he looks fit, strong.
And that's what the energy he brings. I mean, that's a guy that hasn't played too much football.
Yeah, and he created chances. Outside of the goal, he was always a danger in the box. And sometimes in tight games at a World Cup, that's what you need.
Yeah, well, we're going to go through how tight the league is up the top very shortly, but Macarthur is definitely one on the lips of everyone at the moment. Well, every weekend when Melbourne City come into a discussion and we get the rundown, I'm always excited to see what Thomas Sorensen is going to have to say. And Thomas, this is just a bit of an interesting stat here because we know obviously City were on the other side of that drubbing from Macarthur. It is they're sitting 7th now after what is the 3rd time in their history that they've conceded 6 goals in a game. And just to tell you, I guess, some interest around them. We're going to go through their signings, but are you worried about them at the moment? Is this a bit of a step back to go forward? We'll go through Trewin and the signings, but ultimately their form and their sort of style of play that we're so accustomed to just doesn't seem there.
No, and at the moment, we'll see where they go from here. But I see a mentality issue. I see, the last 2 games they've started really poorly. They haven't been at the races. And looking at the team at the weekend, the front 6 had a combined age of 20.5. And it sometimes shows that it's great with all these young players, but the consistency, the knowledge, it can sometimes hinder you. And I think they need Andreas Kuhn back. Asani can hopefully get up to shape and get into form. And then you got, some other players, kind of Mori, they haven't quite, maybe been the players that they expected. So you're relying on young players, and that is sometimes a bit of a hindrance. Well, I would be worried. And as a City fan, I am, because they're not creating a lot of chances. They're getting bullied a little bit. And you know what, that's in this league, when it's so tight, then you'll drop quite quickly.
Yeah, I keep talking about the loss of Marco Tilio, but you feel it a lot when you see him. Even United Colin, they stood up in some big moments. They're just missing that at the moment. We're just going through their signings as well here right now. So Ryan Teague, Daniel Arzani and Marcus Yunus are all coming back on loan until the end of the season, and Harrison Delbridge will come up and steady at the defensive back, really, beyond this season as well. So that's the only real signing they've made. The others are there for just a short-term period, which is a little bit of a tactical move, Archie, when you think about it, but something I know you like from what they've brought. Yeah. We know Teague's quality, we know Arzani's quality, and Yunus, I guess, showed some signs on the weekend. Yeah,
it was funny because interviewing Aurelio before the game, he actually said that they weren't even looking in the market for any transfers. And all of a sudden they've got the likes of Alzani, Delbridge, Eunice. If there's any bright spark or any sort of positives you can take from that game is that Eunice scored a goal, which is good for his confidence. But I like the signings. I mean, it's a shame that Alzani might take a little time because I think apparently he's had some surgery that needs to be sorted. Teague, okay, this is only his second start, in playing regular football. So once they start to I think get a little bit better, we might see an improvement. But okay, it's you bring these players in, but you still, like you said, you've got to have the attitude and mentality to start a game and be strong. Because now you're going to have other teams going, oh, look what Macarthur, look what Auckland did that first half. They're going to be up in their faces, and if you're not going to match it, it's going to be hard for them, regardless of the signings.
Yeah, and I think I'm a little bit surprised they haven't signed a striker at number 9 because we've just talked about the abundance at Adelaide, but really there's only Caputo, and I think a lot is on his shoulders. You can just see he's had a bit of a dip in confidence. He's not getting the service right at this moment. They're playing a bit on the back foot. You know what? So maybe a bit of energy there would have been in his place. But I think we can't really judge it until everyone is on the park, and then we'll see how it goes.
Kai Trewin, though, let's just go on this man because probably doesn't get enough credit for how important he is in Melbourne City. Where this stat will just tell you what a player he's been for Melbourne City this season. 13 games played. Only 8 goals conceded for Melbourne City. And if you look at the 2 games that he missed, including the one on the weekend, they've conceded 10 goals. Yeah. Aurelio Vidmar was pretty stern in his pre-match interview around, is this Kai Trewin's last minutes for Melbourne City? He said yes. Yeah. Didn't really elaborate too much. I'm under the impression they weren't planning to get rid of Kai Trewin at this point. But you watch him week in, week out, Thomas. I mean, what a player he is. He's probably someone that we expect to see going to the World Cup if it all goes well.
Yeah, first of all, he's an incredible professional. Yeah. I think where he's underrated is how he reads the game. He always positions himself in the right areas. He's versatile. He can play at the back line. He can play as that holding midfielder. And he gets incredibly many blocks in. He's, as I said, that's where he positions himself. And it's going to be a hole that they need to fill. We will see, Harrison Delbridge has come in that back line. Ryan Teague has to sort of build his role in midfield and try to take over. But it'll be something that they have to solve. It'll be probably a couple of players that has to, sort of combine to make up for the loss of Trewin. And it's the A-League. If they've potentially been offered some good money, it's a business as well. And also a great opportunity for him to go to New York to play in the MLS. And he's still a young player. So, that's just how it goes. And, you just got to move on.
Yeah, well, as Thomas said, if you didn't know, Kai Trewin's moved to New York City, which is obviously a part of the City Group. So we wish Kai all the best on that next move and look forward to seeing how he goes. Now, before the Sky Boo plays, Newcastle Jets are sitting second. The box office Jets, as we call them, they recorded their 4th straight win, which is incredible for this young team that we're loving to watch. And this is the last time they actually won 4 games, Archie. I'm going to take you through this. This is unbelievable. It was in 2008. So they won 4 in a row. Kevin Rudd was still the Prime Minister. TikTok by Kesha, which some viewers may not have even heard that song before, was number 1 in the charts. And if we could all put the Bitcoin hat back on, it was 1/100th of a cent. So we'd all be multi-millionaires starting again. But that's how long ago it's been. 4 wins in a row for this club. They are really on the up. We'll have a look at their goals, Archie, but just talk about the energy of the club right now is really special.
Well, it's exactly that. The energy of the club and the team. They've got so much confidence, especially in that front line. And they're starting to tighten up a little bit in the back, which has been a concern. When you have to go into a match knowing that you have to score so many goals because you're conceding goals, they're starting to tighten that up. There was probably a moment in this game where I thought that if Piper had got an opportunity that could have made it 1-1, it could have changed the game, and that's probably Wellington not taking their opportunity. But we all love what Newcastle are doing. They play exciting football. They always look to go forward, and I think that's probably something that Mark Milligan as a player was coached with too, because I mean the time that we played and the coaches that we played with was always on the emphasis of when you get the ball, go forward with it and look to try and do that and get yourself into positions to go forward. Sometimes we see teams maybe get an opportunity and then they go back and it slows everything down. This is not the case for Newcastle, and that's why I love watching them play.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, and I also think, with him sort of tweaking certain things. That could be a stroke of genius to put Max Burgess in that holding
Yes.
midfield role. You know, he's an experienced player. He's very good. He's strong on the ball. It's probably not where a lot of coaches would have put him, but it seems to work. It sort of frees up, Clayton Taylor, Thompson, all the other players to go forward. It's credit to that coaching staff to see those things as well.
We're definitely going to break down Mark Milligan in a second, but a man that Archie speaks about the Newcastle Jets conceding goals. Well, results are also helped by this man at the back, James Dalianov. Thomas, this double save he made was as good as we've seen all year.
He's been great the last 3 games. He's been decisive. He's made crucial save. This is unbelievable. He made a save early on as well, down to his right in a one-on-one situation. It's really been a season of 2 halves because he didn't start too well, but he's been instrumental. You can just see his confidence. I thought early on in the season he was second guessing. When you're low on confidence, you second guess, you try to anticipate too early. Now he's in balance. He's just trusting his instincts, and that's great to see. He's an experienced player. He's been in the league for a few years at Adelaide and Western United, and now he's been given a chance here. And hopefully he can be part of this resurgence. He's definitely making a massive impact at the moment.
Well, we've got a fan question here from Maddie McGear on Instagram, and I want you to answer this, guys, in a yes or no with a sentence behind it. Honestly, lads, Jets, can we win it all? Truly box office. I want to look at the home and away season in particular here.
Yeah.
Archie, what do you think?
I think if they tighten up at the back and don't, make mistakes there, I think they can give it a good shake. I know there's probably more experienced teams as a whole. When you look at Auckland, okay, they're a bit shaky maybe in seeing out matches at the moment, but they look solid for me. Victory, obviously, too, and Macarthur. But entertainment factor, they'll give it a good shake. Just need to stop maybe conceding.
Thomas?
I would say just relax. Enjoy the moment. Like, go on this ride and see where it takes you. Now, sometimes we're too quick at like, what's the end product? Where are we going to end up? And then you'll end up disappointed. Enjoy it. As a Newcastle fan, I would be loving it.
Oh,
I'm loving it as a Newcastle.
Rub those ears.
Everyone would be complaining at the end. We didn't make this and we didn't do that.
But they haven't
enjoy it.
They haven't won too much, Newcastle, though. You see, and this year, I think that's what all the fans are feeling. And we'll touch on Mark Milligan. Yeah. But the Australia Cup, the form now. I mean,
of course they can. In this league, I definitely believe they can. Yeah. But you know what?
Well, the coach is a man we're going to talk about now because, I mean, Archie, you played with him, Mark Milligan, you know what his character's like. Yeah. Really, really impressive what he's done with this team. Yeah. I mean, it seems like he's getting the best out of all the players. We talk about the players, the young players that potentially are going to head overseas and get poached from his team. Well, is he a man that is going to be sticking around for a long time as well? I mean, that's going to be really difficult to keep a coach of that calibre at Newcastle, I think.
Well, I think he'd probably have aspirations of going overseas, like a lot of the coaches we see that start here go overseas, like some Muscat, Aloisi now, Ross Aloisi, Ange Postecoglou. I mean, he probably wants to make his own path, and he can because I remember obviously playing with him for a long time. His knowledge of the game, but vision of the game as a player was big. I could see already with his leadership qualities as a player, transitioning into coaching was going to be an easy step for him. And you can see already what he's doing with young players. It's amazing to be able to. I think that's a sign of a good coach and good manager is you know the game, but it's how can you make your players understand that, and he's doing it. It's brilliant.
Oh, fantastic job.
Yeah, and I think that's also, it's something that clubs are looking for. They're looking to add value, and if you can sort of be known and can show that you can develop young players, any club would look at that and say, this is something that we can use because at the end of the day, it's also a business.
Yes.
It's a fantastic point. You might remember last week, Thomas, Naum clipped Archie around the ears with a funny joke. Well, he did also say...
Oh, I didn't hear what
I can't remember what he said. He said, I feel much smarter sitting next to Thomas. Quote unquote, Naum Sikolovsky, not myself. But nonetheless, he did grade Auckland at an A and said they were as solid as a rock. If we look at their last 5 games... they've only won 1 of them, and they're conceding more goals, particularly dropping points in the back end of games. So they're allowing teams to stay close to them. We're going to talk about them right now. But if we look at their last 5, guys, they've had a draw against Central Coast, 2-1 loss to Melbourne City, who we know are out of form. Brisbane, they beat 2-0. Macarthur, they had a 1-1 draw. And Newcastle, they had a 3-1 loss to. Thomas, just talk to you about what we're feeling there. We know Weld had a bit of a howler at the end, but are you worried about them as much as the results are saying at the minute?
No, not really. I think in this game, they dominated heavily. They had a lot of chances, opportunities. Sometimes maybe I worry a bit about transition. I think there's definitely some things. Laval scored in this game in one of those moments, and then some mistakes are creeping in. So that's something they need to clear up. But I think overall, they've got a great squad. I think they've got enough experience there. They're missing Sakai. I think he's a massive one in that back line. I think that's something that could hurt him. Could hurt them if he's out for a while. But yeah, no, I'm not worried.
Yeah, well, just to go into their next 5. So they've got Perth away, Sydney at home, Sydney away, Wellington away, and Melbourne City at home. So they've got a pretty tough fixtures coming up as well. They're still first, but 3 points. Adelaide's now 3 points behind them. We know, Sydney get a win in the Big Blue. They jump ahead of them. And Seven's only 5 points behind them. So they're leaving teams a little bit too close, Archie. And to Thomas's point just on them, from watching that game, I did feel they were too deep at times. And their transition is what caught them out on a couple of goals. So you have a point there. But we probably don't give enough credit on this show to Central Coast. And we've got to give them flowers when they're there to give them flowers. And Ollie Laval, it's a great story. Another striker, Archie, who got spat out of the Western United conundrum. We'll see his goal here. Was at South Melbourne in the Australian Championship and now gets a double against a top team in the A-League. Yeah,
and okay, maybe the second goal was the goalkeeper's fault, but this one, like you talked about, it was at Auckland that we're actually attacking when he got that ball and scored. So that is that transition that you guys have been talking about with Auckland. But yeah, Central Coast, they're hanging in. When you can go to Auckland and get a result, and really, it was like a heist there because, I'm on the same belief as what Thomas is with Auckland. I think they're still an amazing squad. A few silly mistakes have cost them goals, but their squad's incredible. They've got enough firepower to see out these mistakes that they're making. Again, they just probably need to tighten up at the back, and they're not a problem.
And maybe a point on Auckland. I think definitely Steve Corica has a decision to make at the goalkeeping spot. I think, Michael vowed the last 2 games, and only because he's got an experienced keeper in Oliver Sale on the bench. Sometimes, and that's something. Do you keep, confidence in him? I think that the second goal against Melbourne City, I think he was staying back. He should have come out and smothered the ball, and obviously this one. So we'll see what happens, but there's definitely competition at that spot, and that's the manager's choice. Well, the manager for Western Sydney had a great choice on the weekend because he could use Ryan Fraser, a Premier League player with a great career that's come in to Western Sydney Wanderers. And didn't he have a welcome to Australia moment, playing in scintillating heat in Sydney last night? But in the 92nd minute, Archie, we saw this moment pop up, which changed everything when we talk about the decisive goal that he scored. He seems like he's going to be a real coup for them.
Yeah, a real excitement machine, and something that I think Western Sydney need is in those wide positions is someone that's direct and likes to take players on, and is not afraid to have a strike. His introduction was he got subbed on right into a water break. So he's getting subbed on, he's getting water breaks. He's probably thinking, man, what? This is hot. Because I think it was like 35 degrees. It was not
dry
a humid
heat.
Yeah, dry heat. So maybe a little bit better than your humidity when it's so high. But 35 degrees at 7 o'clock is still tough. But he had an immediate impact, as we saw with the footage. He had a couple of strikes on target, and he scores a winner, which Western Sydney need, and hopefully this could change their fortunes around, because it can in this league. Like you say, there's not too many teams that have gone on, except for Newcastle, on a little run. So hopefully he does well, and he seems like a really good guy, like a good
His
character.
interview was brilliant at the end, wasn't it? He was having a laugh. He couldn't believe how hot it was.
Yeah, it's like the success he's had, like from the Championship and the Premier League. He looks like he shows a lot of humility, and he wants the league and his team to do well. He has a lot of belief in that. So he's not here to just enjoy that sun at the beach. He actually wants to play, which is good.
Yeah, very much so. Well, Gary Van Egmond, we know, is the new coach. It looks like he might be taking a technical director role after this season, so they may be looking for a new manager next year. We'll keep an eye on them, but it'll be interesting to see if Wanderers can salvage something from their season. The signing of Fraser and Ibasuki are going to be ones to watch. If we head over to the Ninja A-Leagues now, Wellington women have jumped from 9th on the table up to 2nd. Very similar to the men's. It's a very, very close competition. We'll have a look at some of these goals. It was fantastic, but Wellington are managing the loss of their Nepalese superstar Samba with 3 wins and a draw in their last 8, Thomas. So some good signs for them.
Yeah, and they've signed Michaela Woods from the US college system. She's had a great impact. A couple of goals, a couple of assists. We saw the goal and assist here. And Wellington are, they're on the up. They've, Brugnon, Emma Main. They've got some quality players, and Brugnon, who played for Central Coast and won the league last year. And there's some teams there. Newcastle, we talked about, a couple of weeks ago. There's some teams that are like really, really progressing. And yeah, I think it's tight. Melbourne City are up there, but there's a lot of teams in play for that Premier's plate.
Yeah, and Brooke Nunn, that was a belter of a goal as well. That was a championship winner, as you said, last year, but a brace for her in this fixture. And as Thomas said, American star Michaela Woods scored in all 3 of her games at the club. So City have gone 5 points clear, but just 2 points separate 2nd and 9th in that competition. So
love it.
Very, very
it's tight both leagues.
Yeah,
right?
and to be fair, every week we have an abundance of goals from the Ninja A-Leagues. That could be in the bangers of the week. I mean, a lot of unbelievable goals are being scored there. Now, one of the favourite times we have of the week on this show is, as I say every week, we put it up on a Sunday. You can ask myself and the panel any questions you like around the A-League, and we picked some of the best ones, and we landed on a few belters today. This one is from sp.visuals on Instagram. Archie, I'm going to go with you with this one. Do Adelaide wait too long to bring on Juan Muniz, given he's assisted back-to-back winners? You were there on the ground after his last assist in Coopers, but what are you thinking there?
Well, man, he's brought him on late and he's assisted in 2 goals. So
it sounds perfect.
Answered it yourself.
Hey, we've got to ask the producer who's getting these questions.
SP Visuals.
If that's a good one.
We appreciate your support, but we also might have to be honest and radical candid. I mean, you answered your own question. It's a great coach. Isn't it?
Perfect.
Yeah, it's perfect. Well, this actually might be a bit of this one might take a bit more discussion because it's a bit up in the air, but Matthew Williams on Facebook shared with us, Thomas, what is Perth Glory's pass mark this season? Now, interesting, right, just to break this down, new coach, pretty strong squad. They've struggled with some injuries. The results, though, there's just no consistency about them.
Yeah, it's a bit up and down. And I think that loss last weekend at home, I think, was a bit of a downer. But I wouldn't call it a failure if they don't make the finals. But I just want to see progression. I just want them to become more consistent and slowly, so they've got something to take into next season. If they make finals, I think it'll be great. They've definitely got a chance. They've got as you said, good enough players. But in this league, it's so tight.
Yeah, and I don't disagree with Thomas very often because we've got a great little love affair going on.
Yeah, you do actually.
Please disagree.
But I think it's with the squad that they have and the players that they have, if they're not making finals, I'm afraid that's a failure to me.
Yeah, well,
to me, because and look, I would say too, their football from where they've started the season, because man, we were looking at this Perth team going, the players have recruited, especially in the defence and all over the park, was just so out of whack. It was unbelievable. The progression's been amazing. It's just now really about getting points. Yeah. They need to convert because I don't think their football's been actually too bad. And even the game against Western Sydney last night, Taggart's had a great cross. I can't remember who crossed it, but to score, and that could have changed the whole complex of the game. So I think a failure would be for them not to make finals.
Well, yeah, I have to agree, Archie, because if you watch the Suda and Buddha podcast, I did say they would come first when I looked at their team on paper.
There
will be egg on my face. But they don't make finals at least.
That's a big statement.
Yeah, and Alex Baum-Johan goes, maybe I need to teach you about football when I said that. But nonetheless, we'll see what happens with Perth. This is probably one of the strangest ones we've ever got on this show, and this is from Sully on Twitter X. I'm going to go to both of you. Would you rather fight one giraffe-sized Matt Simon or 100 rabbit-sized Matt Simons.
Where's the camera? Because, like, Matty, is that you? You know, like, you can just come to us if you want to fight us. You know, like, you don't need to ask these quirky questions just to get an answer out of it.
Yeah, I honestly don't really know. I'm not going to lie.
Can we take him? Like, us two? Like, can we take Matt Simon?
I'll leave you. I'll watch.
I'll run. Yeah, I'll take
Archie, come on. Archie's just hiding.
Yeah, no, Archie and I will fight the rabbits, I think.
There you go.
We'll fight the rabbits. We'll leave Thomas to the giraffe. There you go, Sully. Before we round off, guys, and look, maybe you're watching this now and the Big Blue result has happened, but obviously before we shot this and this goes to air, the Big Blue is happening tonight. Archie, you'll be there. Massive game. Sydney can go top of the ladder. Victory feels like they're falling over a little bit at the moment.
Yes.
Where are you seeing tonight's game?
I still think Melbourne victory, disappointing against Adelaide, but, you know, we potentially could have won that. I mean, if you technically you look at this offside stuff, but I think they've still got enough quality. I think with Sydney FC losing Yulee to a red card, I think that lessens that midfield. And you have to, I mean, Joe Lolly, I know we keep talking about his miss, but he and Toure up front. So I think Australia Day, it's a big clash. There's going to be a lot of people. I'm excited, but I think victory are going to do it.
Yeah, and if this league is anything to go by, any team that got a
yeah,
chance
well,
to streak away, they get wheeled back in.
The upside down comp.
You know, so I think it's a definite the victory is going to win this one.
Well, guys, I hope you escape the heat. We've got a hot few days in Melbourne and a past few days, but thank you very much for the show.
Always a pleasure.
Great weekend of football. Enjoy the Big Blue tonight, everyone. That is all from us here at the A-Leagues Download, presented by Isuzu Ute. We'll see you next week.